Welcome to week 14 of the NFL season. This is our bets show where we go through our three favorite bets, including our locks of the week, coming off of a pretty good week, I would say, last week, right?
Yeah, 9-3-1,
Undefeated.
2-1 and
Yeah.
1 on locks. So,
Yeah.
um, we're rattling off these like 9-3, 10-2, 8-4 weeks every single time. It feels
Yeah.
like,
It's been like an absolute roll. It's definitely our best season so far
yeah,
of betting. Like,
definitely.
and,
All of
and
us are
our in
Second
our
pumped.
year,
last.
our year last year was great too.
Yeah,
Yep.
Okay. All right. So who wants to start us off with their first bet? Corey, we'll put his on our post, our social post, because he can't join us today.
sure.
I'll kick us off. I got an exciting game. I've been riding the Dolphins in blowout games all year, and I'm going to stick to it. Um, obviously, we say this every week. Each team can't keep up. Tennessee's offense, I think, had a breakout week last week against a terrible Colts defense. They've only scored more than 20 points, or I think it's more than 17 points like three times this year. Against terrible defenses. And then on the other side of the ball, Dolphins defense is pretty good with Jalen Ramsey, especially. The only teams to score more than 20 points on them, the Chiefs, Bills, Eagles, and week one Chargers. So obviously it takes an elite offense to really break down their defense, which I don't think Will Levis is able to do. Especially if Hopkins is stuck with Ramsey all day. That's going to be a nightmare matchup for them. They're going to have to throw a lot. They can't lean on the run. Maybe a good Tajay Spears today for fantasy, but otherwise it's going to be tough sledding for the Titans on Monday night. So I'm taking the Dolphins minus 13, huge number, but they've been good to the big covers. So
Yeah,
riding with it.
Vic Fangio is with Jalen Ramsey in there has completely changed that entire defense.
Yeah. Just ripping through those offenses that have scored more than 20 points. It's pretty impressive.
Yeah. All right, I'll hop in here. My first pick of the week is going to be Broncos plus 2.5. Uh, this one feels like Vegas is watching different football teams than I am with this spread. I don't understand why the Chargers are favored in this, basically on a neutral, if not away game, even at their home stadium. Staley looks completely lost. The offense is almost all hurt or just like non-existent this season, with Austin Eckler basically getting told that he's going to split carries with Josh Kelly. Like,
As he should, dude.
right? He hasn't been
What
doing
was
anything.
it? 14 carries, 20 yards a week or two ago.
Yeah. So I don't think he ever, I forget what he hurt early on in the season, but it doesn't seem like he has bounced back from that injury at all.
I think it was an
So,
ankle.
yeah. So, Broncos have been trending up every single week, and the Chargers have been trending down every single week this entire season. So, the line feels a little bit trappy. I'm not gonna lie, but I'm walking head first into there, grabbing the cheese. Give me the Broncos plus 2.5.
I wouldn't even say it's that trappy. I mean, they are, dogs in an away game, and Chargers just won. I know it was like an ugly game, and the Broncos lost. So it's like I don't
Six
really think
nothing
it's.
ugly.
Yeah, I know, but like the Broncos still lost. It's not really like a trap game where one team is just looked crazy good last week and the other one didn't. Like, I
Right.
don't know. I don't think it's a trap. Um, my first pick is Tampa Bay, Atlanta over 40 and a half. I've included Tampa Bay in some of my over bets this year. They were last week with the Panthers, which that hit as well. When the Bucks are playing other teams that are kind of considered bad or bad offenses, they set these totals low. But as we know, the Buccaneers are kind of a pass funnel defense, they have a very solid run defense, and the Falcons are kind of as well. We know Baker's going to throw the ball all game long, and I think the Falcons, for how run heavy of a team they are, I think their pass rate is going to increase as well. This is going to slow down the game, allow for more plays. The first time they did play, it was only 29 points. They have played already once this year, but usually I like to take the opposite side of the second game. So like if two teams play early on in the season and it's a high scoring game, I usually like to take the under the second time they play, and if it's and vice versa. And I think teams usually adjust to what happened in the first game, and in this case, I think the offenses make those right adjustments, and we can kind of see a little bit of a divisional shootout here.
It
like
also
that.
probably juices the line in that second game too a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, that's usually why I like it, and it's not always the case, but especially when it ends up being with like these kind of pass funnel type defenses.
Yeah, I like.
We know you just think Baker Mayfield's the GOAT, which he is. So
I was on
taking him with a
Carolina, I
lot of
remember
points.
last week, Nick. Remember that?
Yeah, you were also on the over. So
Yeah, because okay, but I was on Carolina.
I
And
know
Carolina is like has one win or something. Like it's they still lost, but they
they
covered.
covered. Yeah, that was a good call.
Teams win, great teams cover.
Yeah.
The Bucks are not.
Alex, why don't you go with your second pick?
All right. So second pick for me is going to be the Texans -3.5 going into MetLife facing the Jets. I think the mark of a really good football team is teams that find different ways to win and find ways to win in ugly games, find ways to win in blowouts, big defensive games, big offensive games. And I feel like Houston is putting together those types of wins pretty frequently here. And they've got a really exciting young core talent on both sides of the ball. And then you look at the other side, and even with looking at potentially 9 backup quarterbacks starting this week, I think the Jets still have the worst QB situation going on in the entire league. They're going back to Zach Wilson, who does not want to play for them anymore, has basically told the coaches to F off, and like,
I think not basically. I think he did tell that to Solomon.
Yeah. So, I mean, he doesn't want to be there. He hates the team's guts. And since Corey's not with us, I figured I'd have to sprinkle in a meaningless fact just in his absence. But this will be the 35th night game for the Jets and Giants at MetLife. Over those last 35 games, they are 4-30 straight up. I think Houston is well more than capable of covering over a field goal here. See it as a touchdown, if not more, for them.
Yeah, sad to see Tank Dell out for the season. I think he was a big part of that boom offense, but
for sure,
Nico Collins' season is upon us.
Yeah, Noah Brown stepped in really nicely when Nico was hurt too. So I mean, he's going to be thrusted into that wide receiver 2 spot again.
For sure. All right. Well, for my second pick, I'm going with another divisional shootout. It's going to be the Bears against the Lions, taking the over at 43.5. We saw these teams play 2 weeks ago. Their total was 57 points. They obviously have each other's numbers. Say what you want about Justin Fields, but statistically, he's been a pretty good quarterback the past 5 weeks, even with rumors of him moving on in the offseason, swirling like wildfire. Poor Fields. But I think if anything, I hope it motivates him to have a kind of a prove it week. I don't doubt the Lions offense very much. I think they could get it going on the ground pretty easily if Goff isn't having his best game. But they're one of the best offenses for putting up a lot of points, sitting at 9-3. They're having an incredible season. So 43 was a little bit low for me, taking the over here.
Kind of betting against my trend there, Nick.
Yeah. I mean, just looking at the Lions, like the past 5 or 6 weeks, they've put up like more than 25, 26 points each week. So
I know. I'm just, that game was a shootout last time, and Fields, I just remember he had a big game on the ground. I don't know. I just think the Lions.
Was that his first game back too, after being injured? Or was it the week before?
No, I think that was his second or third game back. But yeah, no, they look good, and I'm going to jump you a little bit here, PB, just because this is my lock of the week here. Same game. Got the Chicago flag, the Midwest Coast Brewery shirt on for the Bears to cover 3.5 So in these second divisional games, kind of like what PEB was hitting at, generally speaking, we see a little bit lower totals. So, um, you know, I'm I like the under, but I think the Bears cover a field goal. I'm more confident in that. The other trend that's going on right now is Chicago is the windy city, and it's supposed to be pretty damn windy on Sunday. So you're looking at 10 plus mile an hour winds, getting up to like 20 miles an hour gusts. So definitely going to affect, I think, some of that passing game. On top of that, the Bears defense has significantly improved since the start of the season. And we saw them be able to match up with the Lions and kind of keep up. They had 5 drives of 5+ minutes the last time they played them. So they were methodical with the ball. They were running it. They were doing pretty much what they wanted to with the Lions. So I think over a field goal here at home, the Bears cover. Lock of the week.
I didn't know it was going to be really windy.
I know I was gonna hop in there to try and save you, but
no, we're gonna ride with it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's some good logic.
I just think they're going to really force Fields to pass this game because of what he did against them. And I think he's done it. Isn't the Lions like the team he's just notoriously run all over? Like last year, he had some of his biggest games. And I think they're going to just like they're just going to force him to throw the ball, and they're not going to let him run as much. That's just my prediction. But
yeah, and I'm okay with that. I mean, the Lions secondary is like bottom 5 in the league. So if there was ever a team to throw against, it's them.
Yeah.
So
they're just going to try to make mistakes.
Yeah.
All right. For my second pick, I got Buffalo plus 1.5. I mean, this is the Bills Super Bowl right here. This is their Super Bowl. They're coming off of a bye. This is a must win game. Like they don't win this, like they're not making the playoffs. It's just, I mean, they're already like not favored to, but this would be like the nail in the coffin. They will be bringing out every single play in the playbook to get the job done here. I just absolutely love the Bills in this spot. Josh Allen's turnovers have been highly, highly overrated. He's still been one of the best quarterbacks in the league, and his turnovers more than any other quarterback this year that have been deemed like turnovers, but they're not actually like turnover worthy. That ball gets tipped and then someone else catches it. Just like weird stuff has happened with his turnovers.
Yeah.
And I'm just taking the Bills in this spot. I usually never bet against Mahomes. It's like one of my
at home.
Yeah. This is not normally a spot I would ever bet against Mahomes, but I do think I'm doing it this year in this exact spot. So, and I think they're one of the best teams, if not the best team to include on any teaser, getting them through the 3 and the 7 up to 7.5.
Yeah, I was a little worried you were going to make a 9/11 joke there in between that.
Where was the joke?
Oh, no. We're not going to go over it.
Sorry, that went right over my head.
Dive in on Twitter there, PB.
Yeah, I actually sprinkled Bills Super Bowl plus 5,000 last week, so I think
that's not a terrible bet, honestly, for the odds.
They're either not going to make the playoffs or they're going to have a shot at it.
Or exactly. Like they're probably one of the better long shots. They're probably the best long shot you can bet on right now.
Yeah, a little sprinky.
Honestly, maybe you get a little cash out in a couple weeks, and
you don't cash out a bill if the Bills make the playoffs or are favored to. You're not cashing that out.
Yeah, I mean, I'm on the Bills this week. It's the lock of the week for me. Like you said, PB, this is a Super Bowl spot. If they want any chance to continue their season in a successful fashion, they need to win this game in Arrowhead. These teams have played before. They've always been close shootouts. I don't think the points basically a pick 'em to me, but just in case Kansas City nails a last second field goal, and the 1.5 is pretty nice. I actually got this line at plus 2.5 for the Bills early in the week, saw that and jumped on it real quick. But I'm also not that impressed with what Kansas City's done this year. I think they had, a lot of early wins against pretty bad football teams. And, they've beat kind of the Dolphins in a good game. And Germany, I think it was, but otherwise, like I don't know. I'm just not that impressed with them. They lost to the Eagles. Like
Packers.
they lost to the Packers last week.
Yeah.
And
This is
if Jordan Love's tearing you up like in the secondary, like what do you think Josh Allen's going to do this week?
here. I'll
Off of a
just
bye.
like this is like one of the like coming off of like losing to the Eagles, losing to the Packers. Like for what it's worth, I think the Chiefs are winning the Super Bowl. But this reminds me of last week when I didn't they weren't in my bet, but I thought they were the right side, and that was San Francisco minus 2.5. It's just a bad spot for the Chiefs, in my opinion. Like
Yeah, for sure.
I think the Eagles are a much superior team than the 49ers. But I think the Chiefs are better than the Bills. But it's just a bad spot. Bills off a bye. It's a must-win game. You know, so
I think the Chiefs are kind of a streaky team. Like when they're hot, they're like untouchable.
they're winning.
And
They're
I
winning
just
the Super Bowl.
yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I just don't see them like in their prime right now in the season. Like I think they came out really hot. They're in kind of the mid-season lull, and they got to start gearing up for the second half of the year for them with some playoff runs. So, like you said, Bills plus 1.5 lock of the week. Bad spot for the Chiefs and Mahomes. So see you later, Kermit the Frog.
Chiefs haven't won a game that the defense has let up more than 21 points either this year.
Interesting.
So, which is usually not how it goes with Patty Mahomes.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess that brings me to my final pick. My lock of the week is the Giants plus 6.5. Yep. We're
Tommy Cutlets for the win.
exactly. So this is just, here we go again. Like Jordan Love in a spot on the road where he's this big favorite. I've done it multiple times this year early on where I've taken in this exact spot. Different bad team, but same thing. Like the Packers under Jordan Love should never be this big of a favorite, even if they were in Green Bay.
Yep.
So most teams, let alone in New York. I mean, I don't think Jordan Love's a good quarterback. He's coming off of a few, solid games here, but it's just another spot. You always should be fading quarterbacks that you think are bad in away spots where they're like large favorites. It just makes no sense to me. All over the Giants plus 6.5 here.
I think it's a solid bet. Did you know that the only team the Packers have beat on the road this year are the Bears in week 1?
Yeah, I don't get this line. I think this line probably moves
outside of Lambeau.
But I think I wouldn't be surprised if the Giants win this game. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
yeah, I mean, coming off of a big win, it's a letdown spot for the Packers for sure. Prime time against Mahomes, taking them out.
You couldn't get. I mean, then they didn't beat the Lions, but it was a game where Love at least like looked good. Like you have 2 games in like prime time spots where people have this impression that he's like, oh, he's good. He's not good.
Yeah.
It's time to sell high here.
4-1 in the last 5 for like a subpar team. I think that's pretty logical, PB.
Yeah. Love this bet. All right. That'll do it for our bet show. We'll be back for our week 14 DraftKings breakdown. You guys have anything else to say?
Hey,
good luck this week.
Let's keep winning, boys. Yeah, like and subscribe. Let's watch the pod. You're gonna make some money.
All right. Well, I'll do it. Please like and subscribe. Helps out the videos a lot, and we will see you next time.